Hi, I'm Brittany, and this is the Stonebridge Community Garden. It started here in 2017, but we did start the process with the City of Saskatoon in 2016 when we applied for the garden and looked at different space options in the community of Stonebridge. And we chose this spot because it was a nice large area that wasn't designated for anything else, and it was an irrigated spot. So it worked well for expanding the garden in the future. And as you can see, it's a fairly large community garden. So we have 33 plots in the garden that members of the community own or rent from us. And then we also have some community plots in the garden. So we have 33 plots in the garden, and then we also have community plots around the garden. So we have one up at the top of the garden that has some perennials and different vegetables and some strawberries in it. We also have some raised beds for community plots that are meant to improve accessibility in the garden. They're close to the path, so people who have trouble bending down to the ground or in a wheelchair are able to access those. And then we also have the community fruit garden as well. So with our community plots, anybody can pick from them in the community. They're maintained by the plot owners within the garden, and we just share the responsibility of weeding and taking care of those. We also have a shed, as you can see, in the garden for storage, and that was donated by Northridge. So we're very fortunate to have that in our garden. And this year, with the restrictions that we had to put in place because of COVID, we actually decided to irrigate the garden. So you can see on the shed there is a large sprinkler head. So we have one on the shed and then one in the community garden. So it actually waters the whole garden. So we're able to really limit access to the shed and the hoses and everything this year. So people just have to come in and use their own tools to maintain their plots. Okay, so these are our raised beds in the Stonebridge Community Garden. So we have two large galvanized tubs that we chose to use for raised beds, and we were able to purchase these using a grant from CHEP that we applied for last year. So with the tubs, they do have drainage at the bottom, and then we filled them with triple mix, so a mixture of soil and compost, or manure, I should say. And then these are community plots, so they're maintained by the gardeners within who have plots in the garden. So they do all the planting and weeding, but anybody coming along the paths, walking in the park can pick from the plots or look at the plots. So these are a shared space. For community plots in the rest of the garden, a lot of them are owned by people who live in apartments that you see in the back or close by to the garden, who don't have the space in their yard to have a garden of their own or a very small space. So it's nice that they're able to come here and enjoy the outdoors a little bit more and have a bit more space to grow their fruits and vegetables. So this is our 3-bin compost system that we have in the Stonebridge Community Garden. So with the 3-bin compost system, there's the 3 different spaces that people can add compost to, and we add to it throughout the year. So we try to add some greens, some browns, some soil, and some water, and then mix it and water it throughout the season so that it's able to break down and we can add it back to the garden. We also have a rolling compost bin that's closer to the shed that people can add to, and we encourage people to do trench composting in their garden as well, so that they're able to dig in their own greens from their garden and add nutrients back into the soil. We also haul in compost from the City of Saskatoon, and we spread it throughout the garden just because the small bins aren't enough for this size of garden. And then while I'm here, I'll talk a little bit about access to community gardens. So with community gardens in Saskatoon, you can find a list of them on CHEP's website. And they have a link that you can click on for each garden that directs you to the email address for the community garden that you choose or that's in your neighborhood. With all community gardens, priority is given to the residents of the community. So within the Stonebridge Community Garden, it's only residents of Stonebridge, because we do have a high demand for the community garden. But I know that some other community gardens that aren't as busy might have people from different communities or neighboring communities also gardening within their plots. So thank you so much for visiting the Stonebridge Community Garden with us today. I hope you enjoyed our tour and it gave you a little bit more information about community gardens in Saskatoon.